It's really nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. You look good.
Thank you.
You look the same.
So do you.
See?
We're doing all right, I guess.
If you kind of maintain a certain weight and hair length, you kind of.
Well, yeah, I got the
seem-
Gandalf coming in.
It's
a
coming.
bit.
Looks good.
Try to get wiser.
Yes.
Something I always like to ask musicians that have been doing it for the length of time that you've been doing it now, you know, we were talking earlier, 100-ish songs.
Right.
Does it get harder or easier coming up with the creative juice? Because I'm always amazed by, like, another album comes out and it's chock full of another batch of really great songs, and I'm like, wow, like, does the well run dry? So does it get more challenging with time? Like, does it take longer to get in the zone and to get the songs out, or no?
It's like a roller coaster ride when you're writing an album, you know, because some days you walk out of the rehearsal space extremely excited at what you just found. You know, you're kind of mining for gold, you know what I mean? And some days you walk out with nothing, empty-handed, and sort of frustrated that you spent so much time looking and you didn't find anything. And other days you have a whole bunch of gold and you're really excited and you're high-fiving and you're on top of the world, you know, and then so you do put yourself through an emotional sort of gauntlet writing an album, you know.
And I imagine with time, do you get better at accepting the days where there's no gold than before? Because that's hard, right? You spend whatever 12 hours trying to work stuff out, and you walk out, we got like one riff.
And there's also some fool's gold where you pushed and you thought you found something, and then later it's revealed that it was no good. You know what I mean? Not when it got recorded and got released, but you know, maybe a day later you listen back and you go, that's not good. You know, that's not going to make the final cut. So that's also deflating. But I don't know, you understand that as frustrating as it is, you understand that that's part of it.
Yep.
And that you're going to push through and you'll find it eventually, and just make sure that we take the time to you know, not settle for anything, you know.
The other thing that I marvel at about you guys and the very, 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 very few bands that have the same lineup.
Oh yeah, it is a kind of a unicorn type of situation. I think, you know, at any time, anybody in Mastodon is free to go. You know what I mean? There's no shackles, you know, obviously.
Right.
But I couldn't imagine it without one of the other guys, you know what I mean? And we're just such close friends, and when we get together, we just like hanging out with each other. And yeah, we've had some trying times, you know what I mean? But nothing is it feels very like, you know, cliche, but brothers, you know what I mean? If there's ever arguments or anything like that, it's dealt with like grown-ups do, you know, we sit and talk about it. Or if there was something said late night, you know, the next day it gets squashed and say, hey, do you really feel this way, or was that the booze talking or whatever? And usually it's like, you know, hugs and it's fine, you know.
Good for you guys, because that's not easy. You know, I had the amazing opportunity to make a film with Rush.
Yes, you did. That was a great movie
many
too.
years ago, right? Yeah. One of my all-time favorite bands, and Worship at the Altar, and
of course,
wasted dozens and dozens and dozens of hours trying to learn Geddy Lee bass lines as a teenager, failing miserably.
Join the club.
They were always like, they were friends first, and I thought it was kind of rhetoric, because a lot of bands say that, but the more time I spent with them, I was like, no, that's for real. Like, maybe it's a silly question, but how do you maintain the friendship?
One thing that I think really helps, and this might be like, this is a business thing, but it's publishing.
Yeah, right.
We share equal publishing. And I think that really helps. I've heard, you know, I don't want to name names, but there's some bands that are famously didn't share publishing, and it really hurt them and probably ended their careers. It's a shame, you know, when you find out these stories about your favorite bands and they just couldn't make it work or get along, and it comes down to, unfortunately, like a business decision, you know, where I feel like, even if, like, I try to look at it in the big picture and try to imagine a lengthy career, and say, this album, maybe somebody didn't contribute as much as someone else, but maybe on the next album they will contribute more. You know, you don't know. So, but you try to just have the respect for your other players to say, I wrote this song, but it's not going to be a real Mastodon song unless Brent Hines is playing a guitar solo on it, or unless Troy Sanders is singing on it, or Bill adds his flavor of guitar riffage to something that I might have written, you know, humming into my iPhone notes or whatever. And so, it's about respect, you know, and about respecting each other's artistry, and also we're just good friends and we crack each other up and we have 20 something years of inside jokes. I don't have any siblings, you know what I mean? So those are my siblings, and even if Mastodon was to disband, I would never want to see those relationships go away, because I don't want to lose the 20 years of reminiscing, you know what I mean? Or the things that we've been through as a group. I've been all around the world a million times with those guys and had crazy experiences, you know, opening for all our favorite bands in the world, and you know, I mean, the stories are endless. So I don't want that to go away, you know.
Yeah. So when you've ticked all those boxes, then
where do you go?
It's like
we've opened for Priest and Maiden and Sabbath and Slayer and Metallica and all the bands that were hanging on my walls when I was a teenager.
So you got to find a lot of motivation in the music and the making
motivation
of it, right?
is the making of that artistry, that whole process of putting it together and slowly but surely like falling in love with what you've created. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, the new record is really long, you know, by design. You know what I mean? It was a grand gesture to the fifth member of our band, you know, Nick John, our manager, our best friend, and so it had to be.
Yeah.
And also, hey, a pandemic happened, so we had a little extra time to sort of like really work on that stuff, you know. But that's another thing that has brought us together over the years. I mean, our DNA is wrapped up in Mastodon. You know, we're not just writing music about a story we saw in the paper. You know what I mean? It's our life experiences and experiences that we had together, you know, that are woven within, and some of the deepest emotional experiences we've ever had. We share them, and then we put them into Mastodon, in the lyrics and the riffs and the writing and all the songs. And so that's another reason that I want to see someone go away, is because, hey, you're in it. Like,
and that's really, and I know you've talked about this a million times, but the way in which you guys have brought your personal lives into the music is pretty unique, especially within the context of metal. And I spent a lot of time thinking about metal and the history and the codes of metal. I mean, one of the codes of metal for a long time is you would never, it was about
admit
stuff
that you had
out
feelings.
there. Or, you know,
serial killers,
the dragons, and
dragons,
right, and the ancient history or whatever it is. But you guys, when I think about it in the broader context, like, you're still pretty unique in that regard. I mean, younger bands are doing it maybe more now, but bringing all of that personal experience into the music is still pretty unique.
I guess so, yeah. It sort of changed at Crack the Sky. That sort of changed things, you know. And we're more vocal about what things were about, you know, and it kind of brought more people in. Being vulnerable and being like, you know, taking down the walls that we put up, it just connects with a lot more people. It can be helpful, I think, you know.
There's that, I don't know who said it, someone really smart, you know, there's nothing more universal than the specific.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about something really detailed, and you think that it's going to exclude people, but it does the exact opposite.
Right. Yeah, I hope so. Brendan O'Brien, producer that did Crack the Sky and Emperor, when I was writing lyrics and stuff, he said, it's cool to be esoteric, you know.
Right.
That's fine, that's good, but if you could really tell me a story and really tell me what's going on with you, it's gonna resonate, you know. And I was like, okay, I'll try, you know.
I want to shift gears to drumming and singing. Like, let me just say, fucking amazing. Like, we haven't seen each other in a while, and really, truly, like, a remarkable contribution to the sound of the band. Your voice becoming increasingly part of it.
Right, that's like, up for debate, but yeah, thank you.
But really, I mean, it's got to present some challenges, though. How is the live thing going for you with the vocals and?
It's difficult, and it presents a whole new set of challenges for me. If all I had to do was play the drums, man, easy street. Like, looking back, I'm like, man, those were the days.
Right.
Now I've sort of, you know, put the bit in my mouth, and man, I got to concentrate hard.
Yes.
So, but
it's one of these, right? Like,
it really is. Yeah, it's difficult. The way that I approach it, from a musical standpoint, is mathematically, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, which syllable is landing where is almost like another percussive instrument.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, when I'm playing, I'm like, okay, if I'm hitting the snare there, that's where this syllable needs to go. So I kind of try to work it out in this strange graph that I have in my mind's eye. You know
this is a super nerdy question.
Okay.
But breathing, like, I gotta know, like you thinking about your breathing, because that's gotta be an ingredient.
It's kind of become. In the beginning, I had trouble with that. That was something that presented itself as, you know, in real time for me. It's like, oh, I need to like think about that too.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be out of breath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to sing this big high note coming up, and I'm at the end of this phrase.
Yeah.
So now it's become second nature. I've been doing it for a while now. So now, luckily, it's become sort of second nature, where I'm doing my breathing as a part of that percussive thought pattern.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like right now is the best that it's been. But, you know, I'm just naturally an anxious person already to begin with. So this is another layer of anxiety that I can add to my pre-show warm up. Like, oh God, I have to do good, you know.
But it's working, so.
I think it's working.
Yeah.
I think it's fine, and I think I'm doing an okay job. And we switched my microphone out today. They're trying to find a microphone that will not pick up as much cymbal noise, because that's also kind of a problem, you know.
Right.
I ride the cymbals a lot, and I had thought about doing the Dale Crover thing, where, you know, you have the headset deal.
The Garth Brooks.
I did it one time, and I saw a picture of myself, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I don't like it. Like, I'm taking people's orders at the drive-thru or something, you know.
What's your favorite part of the process? Like conceptualizing the music, recording it in the studio, or rehearsing it, recording it in the studio, performing. Do you have a favorite like spot in that cycle?
I like when they get to the stage, I think, the best. I mean, I really like recording. That's always really fun part of the process, to hear it come to life when it was in your head. Yeah. But I really like getting it to the stage and seeing people like react to it and sing along to it if they like it or whatever. And luckily, because I do that way more. You know, playing it live is what we do most of the time. Sure. Recording is a very small window. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I like all of it, you know. It's my life, and it's been 22 years of Mastodon, you know. Yeah. I've been on stage since I was probably, I think I played my first show when I was 14 at a skating rink, and, you know. I
want to bring in someone here to join us. This is my son, Rory.
The son, Rory.
What's up, Rory? Rory's 10. He's becoming a drummer. I'm a bass player. We do these modified bass and drum Metallica jams.
That's one of the first ones I jammed, was for Whom the Bell Tolls with my band, and I hope those tapes never see the light of day, because it wasn't good, but you know, that's how you learn.
You wanted to ask Ron a question?
Yeah. What advice would you have for a 10-year-old inspired drummer?
Advice? I would say practice a lot.
Yeah.
And practice because you want to practice. These days, there's so many free lessons out there. You just learn as much as you can, and I would say try to learn as much as a wide variety of drumming that you can kind of incorporate into your own playing. Because even though it's maybe something that you might not be totally into, you could maybe get into it, which is cool, because it's just cool to expand your horizons as far as any kind of music, something new, something different. But also, it's just good to be well-rounded, even if you're really, like, I'm just going to be playing metal, but it's just good to have a musical vocabulary that's sort of vast, you know, that you can access. And when you're playing with other people and they present something, you can say, oh, I know what that is, and I have a beat for that.
I can do that.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I would also say, I know you're 10, and I think I was probably around 13 when other kids started getting guitars and getting into playing. But when that starts to happen, I would say just try to play with as many different people as possible. And I would also say try to have really cool parents that put up with it. See, you already got that one down.
Yeah,
you got cool parents, because I had cool parents that we had drums at the house, in the basement. We could make noise. No one cared, because I think that's a thing that is unfortunate. There'll be a lot of kids will probably be, the parents are going to be like, you're not playing the drums. They're too loud. There's no volume knob. You know what I mean? Play this other instrument. You know. So, see, that's like half the battle, really, honestly. Just being able to do it and practice, and sitting there with sticks and a pad is fine, but it's nothing like playing a kit. Yeah. And there's nothing that's going to inspire your imagination like playing on a kit. You know what I mean? Playing on a pad, it's not as fun. It just isn't. It's practice, and it's worthwhile to sit and do the exercises because the fundamentals are important. But there's nothing better than ripping on a kit, you know, and having fun. And that just resonates with your soul. That resonates with a deep primal part of our reptilian brain. The sound of big acoustic drums.
Yeah.
That's what you're connecting to.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
No problem.
Great to see you.
Great
thanks
to see you
for
too.
the time, and thanks for.
I love your channel.
Handing on some
The
advice.
bangers.
Yeah, the
everything.
BangerTV.
Yeah, I love
thanks.
that.
Yeah.
It's killer.
Thank you.
I love what you guys are doing.